All right, thank you.
All right, here we go. Taylor Duran, welcome to ENTV today. This is going to be fun.
I'm excited and completely honored and humbled to be here.
Well, thrilled to have you. ENTV today. So Taylor Duran is an author who's written like a sci-fi series to help people with mental health. So let's talk about that because I love that kind of stuff.
Awesome. So yes, it's a fantasy series, loosely based on my life. I think I'm going for like 7 books, each one facing a different trauma and the traumatic like responses to that trauma. So it, like I said, it's loosely based on my life. So it's to show people that they are not alone, and that healing is kind of ugly sometimes, but it is necessary. And my main character, even though she's going to do the most healing that she could possibly do, she's never going to lose those traumatic experiences. She's going to learn how to manage the symptoms better because once you get a like cut on your wrist and it turns into a scar, never goes away. You know what I mean? And so that that theory applies to mental scars as well.
Oh man, like that, I resonate with that completely. I still remember, and I misspoke. I said sci-fi, it's fantasy. I can recall, I'm sure a lot of the viewers, listeners can what it's like, man, you what 16 or at 2 years old or whatever, you can still recall. And you're right, the marks stay. So why did you want to do this? Like you went through seven things yourself, but what made you want to write books about it?
So this is interesting. So I was I voluntarily checked myself into a behavioral health facility. And when I was in there for SI, which is suicidal ideations, a lot of people had, like, from the military were in there who had MI, which is murderous ideations. And I looked around and I saw everybody who was struggling with their own demons, that I just started writing during a writing exercise in a big T, like a group trauma, big trauma therapy session. And that's how I started the first novel, which I'm currently working on the second novel. Um, but yeah, I looked around and saw all these people who could use help, right? Even if they didn't or aren't ready to accept it, it'll be there when they are.
Sorry, I was muted. Can we talk about similarities you saw in yourself and in like veterans or anyone you saw there? What's a crossover?
The crossover would be like just in pain with the way they think about themselves. Like instead of, like I heard Brene Brown once say that the difference between guilt and shame, guilt is I did bad, shame is I am bad. And because of these thoughts on SI and MI, I'm sure that they felt shame for feeling that way. Because anybody, any neurotypical or somebody that hasn't gone through as much trauma, you know, they don't feel that way, right? And a lot of things that I learned in the mental health facility is don't should on yourself, right? So don't like say I should feel this way, I should be over it. Like you are feeling it for a reason. So it's just that battle, that journey. And I wrote it in a fantasy series or I'm writing it in a fantasy series, basically to like provide an escape from their own reality, just long enough to show that it is going to be okay. Like I'm putting healthy and positive coping mechanisms in there very subtly. Instead of like one character telling my character that, hey, you need to try this, she's kind of learning as she goes. So that way it's not like, when you're told to use a self like a coping mechanism, you kind of reject it. But if you see it's helping someone else, and you kind of get that curiosity of, oh, wait, does this actually work? And so, yeah, that's why I'm doing it.
Powerful. Yeah. Every time a writer helps me find myself in the character they're writing about, I can see a through line because I leave my thinking about it and I enter into story mode, play mode, and it's like discovery and possibility. You talked about if you're feeling it, it's for a reason. Can you talk more about that? Because
Um,
you said at the beginning, healing can be very messy.
right. So, healing is very messy because you're going through all these emotions that you don't know how to deal with, or you've never dealt with them before, or you buried them down deep inside. So, as far as your question, um, if you're feeling it, it means that you're still trying to process through it, like go through it, to feel through those emotions, because the quickest way over emotions is through them, right? So there's a riddle that I apply to this kind of situation with emotions is how far can you travel into a forest, right? Before you're traveling out, and it's only halfway, right? You can only go in the forest halfway before you're going out. So it's the same thing with emotions. Like the worst part is halfway through it, is when you reach that halfway point, and then when you get on the other side of that, then it becomes a little bit lighter in your journey, right? A little bit less heavy.
Wow, just went through some of that myself, so I totally resonate. Okay, now you have an book age. How does it work? Because your first book is getting into stores.
Um, so I so I have a literary agent now. That was very hard to get. I have a connection in Hollywood that's going to try and help me sell my movie rights eventually. She actually, Laura Mallon, is the Hollywood entertainment consultant that I'm working with. She actually told me the statistics on getting a literary agent, and so I got this whole story. But she said that, or she told me the statistics on how many people actually publish a book, and it's like 0.08%. And then I did some research on the literary agent, and like 1 in 6,000 authors get one. Um, so once you get a literary agent, they present your book to traditional publishers. And if a traditional publisher picks it up, they see value in it. It takes about 11 to 18 months before it's actually put on the shelves in brick and mortar stores and all that stuff. However, I did self-publish before, so it is on Amazon. It is on barnesandnobles.com, so you can always go there.
Well, please put the links after for that in the Facebook comment section. So, what do you want to say to people that are struggling with mental health, trauma of any type, big T, little t? What do you want to say to them?
That it's okay to not be okay, and that, even though it's hard to ask for help, especially, from as a perspective from a man, right? Sometimes it's very hard to kind of ask for help. Um, but there is no shame in asking for help. There is actually strength in asking for help, and realizing that you may not be able to deal with this on your own. So, finding that common, or finding that social circle and that person to lean on that will give you that like strength to keep going is invaluable. I actually was writing something here. I wrote it a while ago, but it kind of sums up going through pain. It says, "Heavy is the pain I carry. I hold it through gritted teeth, not because I enjoy the torture, but because with each step I gain strength in my resolve." Something that I came up with. And then another one is, "Even in our darkest moments, a single ray of hope shines its brightest in the face of adversity." So I just live by quotes a lot. And, some of the things that I think about on my own, I feel like other people need to hear because they're thinking about it too. They just don't know how to say it.
And what kind of feedback are you getting, Taylor, from people that have read your book or people that hear you speak, people that have heard you on a podcast? What do they say to you?
They say, like, I think I've only had 3 negative reviews on my book. Um, and I've had 30 plus great reviews. They say that it's captivating. I mean, I had one friend, after I wrote the first 4 pages of the entire novel, the first four, he read it, and he goes, "I've read all of Tolkien. I've read all of Harry Potter. Yours is more descriptive than Harry Potter, or than Tolkien, without being overly descriptive, and better written than Harry Potter." And so that's something that I will take to my grave forever. I will take that compliment on, like,
That's
forever.
a really good compliment, man. Tolkien, Harry Potter.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a powerful review. Now, I mean, it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So to him, it was very phenomenal based on the first 4 pages. So my literary agent did like it, obviously, but he says with the right marketing, it could be a bestseller, you know, and it could help shape the lives of people.
Isn't it amazing how you can turn your pain into someone else's power? Like they have to choose it, but your story, your pain can be forged in a Tolkien furnace into a weapon that becomes their power that they lean on. It's amazing.
Absolutely. One of the things I don't know. I like it's based on theology a little bit, angelology, demonology. So, it's kind of poetic, right? So we're all going through our own demons, and I have my main character who's half angel, half human. So I thought that was a little, but I don't know if you're religious, and I'm really not, but I like the philosophy behind it. So, so sometimes I feel like things happen to you. They're allowed to happen to you in order to give you the strength. Once you get the strength to get over, or like get through it, it becomes your way of helping others, right? So it's like you're meant to go through what you're going through, right, in order to one day get through it and provide that hope for someone else. Now I do know that there are egregious and atrocious things that happen to people. So I'm not saying that, I'm not discounting that at all by saying that. But it is my philosophy that if we go through something, right, we have to go through it for a reason, right? There must be some reason that we're going through it. And like getting through it, there's got to be some reason that like at the end of that pain comes something beautiful, right? So like we arrive at many destinations in life, but the destination is only as sweet, salubrious, and beautiful as the journey was treacherous, daunting, and difficult, right? So, I have a tattoo on my arm. It says, "Those who weather the storm of suffering obtain everlasting, salubrious serenity." If there's nothing good at the end of pain, then why are we going through it at all?
And isn't it the paradox of pain is like as horrible as hell on earth can be, heaven on earth, and it's all a choice. It's like, what are we going to do with our days here? You said religious. I I understand. I'm not religious anymore, but I'm fascinated with Jesus and the metaphor of him choosing to go to a cross for the purpose of helping others, and then through dying to help others, he was able to be raised again. And I find everywhere, and I see it now, people I interview, wherever a person is willing to lay down on a cross and let parts of them die on a cross, they like earn the right to be resurrected, a new form of themselves, and then they inspire. And I see like in the thing that they choose to let die on the cross, it always helps humanity. So I see it as a metaphor. It's like what you're letting die in you, Taylor, all the things that hurt, and you're willingly putting them on the cross. You're being raised again, a new form, and then your story not only inspires others, but you paid a price. You allowed something to be nailed to a cross for others because it's for humanity. You're doing this.
Right, right. And exactly what you said, and being vulnerable to the world, like to society, is one of the hardest and most scariest, daunting things that you could possibly ever do. But with that comes so much courage, right? Because you know, my hero actually just like she made her own documentary and became vulnerable with the world, and that's honestly what I'm trying to do with Selena Gomez, right? So, I think being vulnerable, and Brene Brown said she has a TED talk that's titled "The Power of Vulnerability." I would encourage anybody to watch it. But she talks about being vulnerable is how we make connections in life, how we make meaningful connections in with people around us. And I feel like if people read my stories and get to know, a little bit about who I am through the written word, I feel like that would bring them close to, me and me close to them, right? So like a kind of like a I'm watching over you, like I get you, right? I see you, like I see all of you.
That's beautiful. Vulnerability, the power of it. Okay, closing thoughts. What do you want to leave the listeners, viewers with? Where are you going next? What's happening in your life?
So I am just looking to go forward. I mean, the only way that we can move on is through like go forward. The only place you can go is in the future. Um, but I guess my advice would be don't forget to live in the present. Like don't be always future thinking like I am. Um, the future seems so far away, but the past goes by in a blink of an eye. And sometimes it's hard to forget the good things that we have done, the good things we have accomplished, because the bad sometimes feels so great. So don't forget to celebrate your little wins.
You are clearly poetic. Awesome. Okay, well, ENTV today, Taylor Duran will be dropping links to anything he has. And Taylor, down the road, please come back and put more links to your next book, etc. Whatever you want to drop in the comments, even the Brene Brown, the thing you recommended there. Thank you for being here and for being vulnerable and brave. It's very
Thank
inspiring,
you.
Taylor. Yeah,
Thank
you're very
you. Thank
inspiring.
you. Thank you. It was an honor to be here.
Okay, we'll keep chatting offline. ENTV today, please reach out to Taylor. Tell him what you appreciate in the comments. He would love to know. And we'll sign off now.